welcome to session 6 of these 8 sessions focused on performance management conversations. My name is Rachel Smith, and I'm the head of learning at Entelechy. And it might seem strange, but this is the first time we've spoken about the needs of the business. And that might be controversial because we're talking about performance management and improving the quality of the individual contribution to the whole. So why wait till session 6 to start considering the business needs, the OKRs, the KPIs, whatever other letter combination you would like. So we're going to explore a little bit about aligning to the company needs right now, why it comes at this late stage, and why that might actually be completely and utterly uh, the best thing ever. Trust me. But before we do that, let's have a look at where we've been, because we've been on quite a journey already. We started by looking at the inner child that makes performance reviews, appraisals really challenging. Our inner child asks, are we safe? Are we good enough? Are we loved? And let's face it, this performance review process challenges all three questions. So no wonder we all hate them, or so the research says, and why we go into them stressed and with our mind shut down. And then we talked about the start of the conversation and starting with an authentic celebration to ease those nerves of that inner child, and how to do that in a non-cheesy, non-cringy way. Then we focused on the fact that the next stage was to hear the employee's story, to listen to the individual tell their version of the year, and how to really listen to that and not to wait to respond, but literally hear what's being said and be able to give true homage to what they're saying. Then we talked about navigating the gap, because while you're listening to their story, you might have that whole, ooh, they've got no basis in reality thing going. And you've been told never to disagree because that shuts people down all the time. And so instead, what you have to do is reframe, help the person reflect, and help them come to a point where they can see your version combined with their version of the events. And then we talked about reciprocal benefit, and we're going to talk a little bit more about this idea of reciprocal benefit today. Last session, we looked at how the employee, if cared for, if developed, if invested in, would give more to the company. So the benefit being that if a company invests in me, I will deliver more as an individual. So the company benefits. I want to suggest that reciprocal benefit goes even further. Because if a company says to its employees, we will invest in you, we will develop your career, we will train you, that organisation then has the right to ask that employee, in return, could you focus on X, Y, and Z, which are important to our business goals this year? Can you focus your attention this way for a while? Because this is what will make our organisation successful. And an extension of that reciprocal benefit is that because the person feels that they're getting something from the organisation, they feel more inclined to give something back. More than that, they're likely to go above and beyond and give that discretionary effort that really does fulfill the business goals. Now, a moment of reflection. I want you to think about an employee in your team or company, anyone, any single individual that you can think of that comes to mind. I want you to explore how they could deliver something specific for your company. And I do mean specific. And I want you to answer two questions. First, you have to decide what your company's requirements are for the next year. Do you know the business goals? Do you know the overarching strategy, the KPIs, the OKRs that need to be fulfilled for the business to continue its success or become even, more successful? And then can you pinpoint how that individual could contribute to those goals? What they specifically could do in order to add to the combined effort to deliver on that success? So those two questions: what are the company's requirements for next year? What could that individual do to contribute to them? Some time to think. Okay. Now, I might have suggested that you tell the person what they're going to do by asking you to do that exercise, to ask you to reflect on that, so that you go in there with pre-prepared goals already laid out. In actual fact, probably the best thing to do is give them an opportunity to lead and ask what they would like to contribute in the coming year. So it could be that you quite simply address the business needs that are available to them, and then say, what could you do to deliver on these? They might then offer more than you would ever have asked of them. They might know better and more specifically how they could support those. Equally, they might turn around and say, what do you want me to do? How do you feel I could help? And that's the point, that you could share that reflection you've just done, where you could share what you've prepared and what you feel would be a good focus for them. But it's really important that when you do that, and even if they choose their own, that you are specific in the way you measure their success. So ideally, obviously, there would be a quantifiable way of measuring that success. So there is a percentage target to hit. There's a, a specific number of items to be sold, a amount of money to be made. Something that is easily quantified. But whatever it is, it should clearly indicate to the person how you expect them to be successful in that goal. And in that way, they have every opportunity of delivering for you and hopefully beyond. Now, I'm going to do something strange, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to disagree with me and disagree with the way that these sessions have been organised. Because I suspect there might be some lingering doubt about whether you could wait this long into the conversation before making it about the business and making it about the company and its needs. It might feel to you that the priority is all wrong, that actually you should start with the business and stay focused on the business so that it is highly professional and doesn't involve all of these human ideas that I've explored previous to this. So, an opportunity to disagree with me, a time to reflect. Should the business goals come first? Should everything about this meeting be focused on those? And then I want you to consider the pros and cons of addressing the needs of the business first. So, a quick 30, countdown of 30 to have a think. Please do share your comments below because I do love being disagreed with. And I mean that sincerely. I really, honestly, I do love being disagreed with because it gives me an opportunity to have my thoughts refined, my opinions better validated because somebody has given me an alternative viewpoint. So please do share in the comments below your disagreements with the order with which I've proposed this conversation go. But here's my counter argument before I hear your argument, because I do like to argue too. There is a psychological theory, which I'm sure you're well aware of, called the primacy and recency effect. So we remember the first things that happen, and we remember the last things that happen and so if you're sent to the shop to buy something, you're more than not gonna remember the first item on the list and the last item on the list, and the bits in the middle are a bit, you know, blurry. Now, in this conversation, the first thing that we mentioned was a celebration. Brilliant. So the employee will go away with a really clear memory of you celebrating them at the start of the conversation. That's not a bad thing for them to walk away feeling that you value them and that you see them doing good things. But then the last thing you focus on in terms of evaluation is the needs of the company. And you leave them with this idea that they need to act in the best interests of the organisation and a clear understanding of how they can do that. So you've celebrated them, and now here's what they could do better for the company. Is probably enough of the conversation for them to remember, for you to feel that this has been successful. The bits in the middle, highly important, highly effective, but if all they do is walk away with what's at the beginning and the end of this conversation, then you have done a fine job. However, it's not the end of the job, because this is all talk so far. What you need to do is set specific actions that the employee is going to do for themselves and for you, for the company, and those need to be laid out incredibly clearly. So in our next session, we will focus on committing to action and how to do that effectively. Looking forward to speaking to you about that then.